Kravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Saratoga Today for the last Sunday of the meet, September 3rd. I am your proud host, Howard Kravitz, my good friend and co-host, Pete Visco, sitting right over there. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, smash that like button, and also hit that notification bell so that you know when new content arises. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We have fantastic power picks. We've had some scores yesterday. Look below the video player for information on our power picks, which come out on Saturdays as well. And we've got a great website that Pete has a very, very large part of, if not mainly, it's all his deal, hhhracingpodcast.com. Good morning, Pete. How you doing today?
I'm excellent. How are you today?
Well, I did wake up. I was able to get on my own 2 feet, despite some people with some emails and some DMs saying, Howard, you're awful handicapper. I can't believe you gave out Churchtown yesterday. Look, I'm going to have a lot more to say next week. Obviously, Churchtown was a complete disaster. It was one of my plays of the year. I touted it out on the Ben Boozin show. We talked about it. Pete, sometime I'm not going to dwell on it this morning. We are going to talk about it. I'll eat plenty of crow on our Thursday show. We actually have Matt Bernier coming on this Thursday, Pete, which I'm really excited about.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he's going to come on. He's at Kentucky Downs last week and this week, and so we'll have plenty to say about Churchtown and just really bad handicapping opinions, etc. But look, when a horse runs a 2 and is eased, I mean, it was something happened, Pete, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it did. Yeah. I had a few horses yesterday that just kept running backwards, and that was one of them. So I was with you on that garbage pick, but yeah, hopefully he's okay. I mean, I don't know, or it was just a bad race. I know on our show, you like to pick horses coming off a 0 buyer. So I don't know about a 2 coming back. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Paul and put our heads together to see if a 2 is just as good as a handicapping angle as a 0.
I'll tell you what would be fascinating. The Woodbine Miles in 2 weeks. If this horse somehow shows up in that race, I would be fascinated. I would really be interested, because that means he didn't get hurt. He just didn't like the up and down hill or something. You know what I mean?
Kentucky Downs is weird. Kentucky Downs, you either hate it or you love it, which is why when you're not that this is a Saratoga show, but that's one of those tracks where if someone has a past runs, a horse has past runs over it, it's something to pay attention to, and some horses just love it, and some horses just despise it. And it's a weird track. It's a weird configuration. What are you going to do?
Well, on the positive, yesterday morning on this show, listen, if I'm going to, fall on the sword like I deservedly should after the Churchtown pick this week, we also got to talk about the good things. And yesterday on this show, Pete, Paul and I, no pressure here for you. Paul and I absolutely crushed the late pick 5. Now, neither one of us, for full disclosure, actually had the late pick 5, but I just want to point out a few things real quick. First race yesterday of this show, Paul touted Thin White Duke, who won at 9.2 to 1. And by the way, he got as high as buyer. So Paul must have known something, right? I'm like, okay, maybe, that happens once in a while. Then the next race, Missing Fortune wins at 16 to 1. We both had this horse in second. In fact, nice. I almost put this horse on top on the show. I really thought he was interesting for Kai Barakoa, and wins at, look at this, 16-31-53.
Yeah, that was what'd that pay? A couple grand, right? That try.
The super was like 20,000 or something.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
I don't know. It's at the
$3,000 trifecta.
12,000.
Yeah,
for 10 cents. Okay, then the next race. How about Paul's horse?
Paul's horse
gets his buyer top of 90. Somehow gets over from the 10-hole, Pete, at 21 to 1. Neither the Chad Browns run. Kendrick Carmouche doesn't send on the 4. And this horse gets a dream trip and wins for Paul Halloran, who was a very small piece of Dracone. Blew up my pick 4 and 5, but I couldn't be happier for Paul. Wins at 21 to 1. He did pick that horse on top. I don't know if he would have picked that horse on top if he didn't own him. But listen, I got to tip my cap. He did pick him on top. Congratulations to Paul. Unbelievable.
Of course, I remember I had that horse on the ticket when we were there for Whitney, and it didn't run as well. And then now
No.
and then Fredo in
right?
second, the Italian connection. We got,
Yes.
Fredo. You broke my
Fredo
heart,
almost
Fredo.
won.
Yeah, Fredo almost broke Dracone's heart at that point.
And then in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, Paul had Bright Future on top. This is a horse I've talked about a lot on this show. I liked him a lot also. I made a Rall and Roll default pick, but I had Bright Future second. But Paul had Bright Future on top, wins at 7-2. And then the last race, I had Dream Road on top on the show, wins at 11-1. So
yeah, that horse took no money went
no
the other
money.
way,
I don't
which
know
is
why.
nice. Yeah,
I had him win in place. I didn't have the try, but I had win in place at 11-1. So look, I'll leave ourselves full screen here for a second. You got to take the good with the bad in this game. There's not one person out there, Pete, that's watching or listening to the show. Not one. That if you've been betting long enough, you have a pick that you love was absolute disaster. Not one. And if you're one of those people, you're just a much better handicapper than myself or Pete, because shit happens. You got to take the good with the bad. That's how this game rolls, right? That's how we play. That's called gambling for a reason.
I mean, you have to be as they say on Ted Lasso, for any Ted Lasso fans out there, you have to be a goldfish. You have to forget. Yep. And I'm mad at that because I let it fester. Stupid moves or bad picks, they sometimes fester. Although if a horse just doesn't run, then you're like, I don't know what the hell happens. If they just sort of drop back and go to last and you're like, man, that horse didn't even try. I don't understand it.
Right.
That one, you just sort of say, you just throw your hands up. Because on paper, you can look at a horse and go, this horse should be in the mix. And then they run backwards. And you're like, all right, I don't know what the hell happened there.
Real quick, we'll just people around the show, and then we're going to get to watching. We got Katie, of course, is here. Hello, Katie. Charles, no, we did not hit the pick 5 yesterday. I suppose you'd have to talk to Paul. I guess Paul, in theory, should have. Dracone is one that killed me, but I'm not sure where he may or may not. Actually, it was the last race. I don't think he had the 3.
I don't think he did, because we would have mentioned that in our text
he wasn't.
chain,
I don't think he was alive for pick 5, though. Yeah. I'm not sure. I didn't talk to him. I don't, ask these guys on the phone, are you alive? Are you alive? Like, I don't like to do that. Proxy did almost win yesterday. Ran well. Classic is not. That's the other thing we're going to talk about with Matt Bernier next Thursday, by the way. This Classic division, I mean, there's no superstars, but that's going to be one hell of a betting race. I mean, Bright Future got a 103 buyer yesterday, squarely in the mix with this group. I don't know I haven't seen buyers from Del Mar yet. I don't know.
I didn't either.
What Arabian.
I'll see while you're talking.
But I'll tell you what, they crawled home. I mean, that was visually not pretty at the end. So anyway, this is Saratoga today. Let's talk about Saratoga races, but there were just a lot of things that we needed to talk about. Pete, as you're looking that up, Saratoga today.
No buyers yet, by the way.
Not yet. They're still sleeping in California. $251,000 pick 6 carriover based on all those prices we talked about today at Saratoga. I might take a small dive, although I don't have it's funny. I had real strong opinions yesterday, and some of them were great and some of them were absolutely awful. I don't have a great feel for this late pick 5 today, and it's probably the one I'm going to crush. So who the hell knows?
Well, it's funny because I did the picks for anybody who's a Saratoga Power Pick subscriber. I did them today, and as I was going through, I'm like, oh crap. I don't love. There's not a lot. There's one horse I really loved that jumped out to me, but there were a bunch where I'm like, should we? I know we don't usually do it on here, but for the pick 6, you want to. Do you have anything in the 5th? Did you look at the 5th at all?
I was gonna talk about that, Pete. The problem is the 5th race is like one of my least favorite races for a lot of reasons. It's a turf sprint. It's a restricted turf sprint, so only for horses that's sold for 50,000 or less, and it's a baby race. It's like we have to see the board. I don't know. We're not going to discuss it, Pete, if that's okay with you, just because.
Oh, no. I just wanted to make sure.
And I'm going to watch the board anyway before I put in a pick 6 ticket. So we're not going to talk about race 5, but let's talk about race 6, Pete. And look at the bottom of the screen, sir. We are thinking in lockstep.
By the way, I like 2-8 in the 5th, just for anybody listening who doesn't feel like handicapping. And that's my birthday day, so screw it. And maybe I'll get a little birthday juju, and even though my birthday's not for months. But go ahead, Howard. But you take what you can get sometimes. All right, me and you lockstep off the.
Well,
first
your birthday's on a certain month of the 28th, correct? Is that why you said
Yes,
that? Okay.
December. Yes,
December.
December
Oh,
20.
right on, right. A little Christmas baby,
Not too
actually.
far. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Now, wait, Pete, did you get presents both, right? Both, right? Christmas and birthday, or they just combine them? What was the story
Yeah, some people were
when you were a
cheap.
kid?
Some people were very cheap, and I don't like those people. So
Okay,
yes, they would say this is for both. I'm like, well, there's only
right.
one
You're like, come
here,
on,
so
man.
screw you. I don't like you anymore. How's that? How's that for
I love
both?
it.
But by the
Well, let's
way,
talk about some horses we do like here, and
you have the
I'm in
wrong
the wrong
race on the
race. I just
screen. Yes,
realized.
yes,
Yep.
yes. Because I'm looking at it, going, man, that's not my picks for
No.
that race.
Here we go. Race 6. Let's get started here, Pete. We're both going 4-9-2. This is the start of the late pick 5 again. I'm in the late pick 5. Starts with a 7-furlong filly 2-year-old race. Boy, the fillies are on display. The 2-year-old fillies are on display in
Yeah.
this card because the Spinaway looks tremendous. But this is for a horse that have not won yet. Field of 10, Moorline favorite is the number 2, Genetics, a Florida bred for Mott and Lascano. But we are both going with Alpine Princess. I'm sure you've got some strong reasons why. Cox and Franco. This is a second-time starter.
Yes, this is my best bet of the day. So we're gonna see
Wow!
if
Right
that
off
one
the stop. Well,
right
when
off
this
the
horse
jump.
gets
Yeah.
when this horse gets eased with the 2
Yeah,
buyer, we'll see how you
I
feel.
mean,
You'll know
we'll
how I
see.
feel. No, I
Yeah,
like this horse too, Pete. Go ahead.
I mean, so there was a few things here. So on debut, if you watch, and I know we don't really like to do replays on here too much, and you don't need to, but basically she got knocked around right out of the gate, dropped back to dead last, of course, which is I'm surprised I didn't have her in her debut because of that. Lost to my dad's name, by the way, Sam's Treasure.
Oh
My
wow!
dad
Oh,
had that
we'll
horse
show the
on
start,
top.
Pete. It's worth seeing for everyone. He's the
Yeah,
7
if you
here.
do if you do the head on. So then here's something you don't like, and I always make fun of you a little bit, but in debut races and with young horses. So she's stuck in the back. Then she's between horses in the back,
Yep.
way in the back of the pack. Then she makes a move and actually splits horses a little bit, which I thought was impressive. And then the two winner or the first 2 horses, they sort of got away. As you could see, Sam's Treasure wins by 5. The second horse is up by 3. They sort of got away. So you were never getting to them. I just like, again, with young horses, I like when they have some trouble and they don't give up and they keep on chugging along. She did that. It's Brad Cox, so it's not like he's not going to get her ready. She had a nice 5-furlong bullet. I mean, it wasn't the fastest thing ever, but it was a nice work. And then I had an excellent stat. Brad Cox, second-time starters that finished in the money last out in dirt sprints at Saratoga. So don't try and remember that one. 8 for 12 wins, 12 for 14 in the money.
Wow.
So for whatever reason, if his horse runs okay but doesn't win first out, second out, he usually has them sort of tightened up and ready to go. So all systems go for me. I love this 4-horse.
I like the 4 a lot too, Jimmy. Thanks for the confidence in me. I appreciate that. One other thing I'll mention, Pete. I've had the benefit of having again DRF workout reports during the Saratoga meet. Alpine Princess in his. There we go. Wow, can't believe I did that. I'm embarrassed.
I mean, it doesn't say
No
princess
one knows
in the
what's in
name
this
or
red
anything.
cup. Let me tell you something. This is not milk in this red cup this morning because I had a rough day yesterday with Churchtown. No morning drinking for me. Anyway, Alpine Princess's last work, she worked with Dazzling Blue. Who's Dazzling Blue? Dazzling Blue is a nice horse for Cox that finished second to that complete freakazoid who won the Prioress yesterday earlier in the card, Pete. So they think very highly of Alpine Princess. She got a B+ workout, which is very good for 2-year-olds. I think this horse is going to fire big today and have a great chance to win.
I just wonder if we're not going to. Oh, sorry. I was just saying. I wonder if we're not going to get the price because when I saw the Clocker report this morning and was like, "That's good." It's good when you see because I did it after the fact. It's good when you see on the Clocker report that it matches what you think, but then you know that they're gonna. You know that they're probably going to take money off those clockers in these 2-year-old races too.
Yes. By the way, Noah Maher is here. Noah had a rough day. Also, look, I mean, he plays mainly Del Mar, and that
Hey, by the way, on our Del Mar show on Thursday, I would have given out the late pick 5, except Feza scratched, and I moved it. I had the 10 instead of Feza, so I would have had the late pick 5, but we didn't know about the Feza scratch. So,
okay.
So we weren't all bad this week.
Chris Couples said it was not a B plus. I thought I saw a B. I'm pretty sure Alpine Princess said B plus, but anyway.
Oh no, I think he was probably saying, maybe he was saying it was a B plus on the report, but maybe when he watched the work, he didn't think it was a B
Oh, I
plus.
see. Sorry, Chris. Gotcha. Okay, I understand what he's saying now. He said visually he didn't think it was a B plus. Okay, right.
Yeah, yep,
Anyway, moving on. Caitlin, her greatness, I believe.
yes,
I watched workouts. Actually watched the workouts. Not only did she get great workout report grade wise, but I watched the workouts. She looks like she's very quick out of the gate. Now this is 7, but the Omaha Beaches have come out firing. Cost 375.
yeah.
Between the 9 and the 10, Pete, I have to watch the board. Obviously, it's one of those deals. My gut feeling here, based on workouts, is that the 9 is going to show more speed and a little more precocious, and the 10 might be a little more two-turny kind of horse and a little bit slower out of the gate. That being said, the 10 is Rapoli. So who the F knows? We got to see the board to really have a good idea between these two, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, it was funny because I really liked the 4, and then I got down to the 9, and I was like, "Ooh, I kind of like this 9 too."
Yeah.
But then I still was on the 4, but I do think the 9 is strong. And yeah, I agree with you on the 10. I didn't love the 10 first out. I could see the 10
Yeah.
sort of closing and getting a piece, and then running better. But although 7, 7 is, at least 7's a little longer. They're not going super short, so.
Yeah. So watch the board, people. I had the 2 higher initially. Genetics has been working with Sugar High, who is in the Spinaway, Pete. And I
Yep.
watched the last work for Genetics. Genetics was basically just a workmate for Sugar High. Genetics was like on the wrong lead in the stretch in her workout, not the debut, but in her workout. She's a Florida bred. I don't know. It just, my gut feeling tells me she's a nice horse, but I have a feeling the other ones are better. Just a gut feel.
That was where I landed too, and although she at least ran pretty tactical, so you
She
figure she's
did.
going to be in the mix. And if a couple of the first timers don't fire, and so many times the horses that run already, they just have a little bit of an advantage, and something happens. The other ones run a little greener than you expect. This one gets a good trip probably from the 2 holes. So, and the horse that ran second in the last one came back, and I think ran second in maybe a stakes or in a good race last time. So that
Yeah.
race has come back okay as well.
Stella Maris, who finished 3rd in
Yes.
that debut, was a New York bred, came back, did not win the stake race, though, the New York
No,
City
because I actually
Stake.
had the horse on top. I had the
So,
Caldwell Loves Gold. I really like that
right.
horse. And
Caldwell.
yeah.
Caldwell, by the way, is like a 9-month-old or something. Named after, it was really cool if you watch Naira, Anyway, Caldwell is the son of one of the owners, and he was actually there at the track both times. Caldwell Loves Gold wins. And Caldwell is a
Oh,
boy
wow.
who's like he's like 10 months old, so it's
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
awesome.
Maybe a year old, I don't know, but anyway, but he's in the winner's circle. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
So love naming horses after their own kids, right? That doesn't always work out well, but anyway, let's move on, Pete. Race 7. Here's where we start going different, and I thought some of these races were tricky. I'm going 2-4-1. You're going 1A. I want to make sure I put in the A because there's a couple in there. 1A 5-2. And if we have scratches, you know what, Pete? I haven't looked for scratches yet.
I didn't. Someone just mentioned that we didn't have them yet in the
They're not
chat.
in yet.
I didn't.
Okay.
Nothing. I'll look while you
As
do
I'm
that.
speaking right now, I'm going to get Sterling up on Twitter and see. Yep.
Oh,
They're in.
wait, we
They're
do.
in.
Now they're in. Let's
They
see.
are in. And so I know I'm not looking at the camera right now because I'm looking at the scratches on my own screen.
So in
but
this
I'm
race,
looking,
1, 6,
it's
1,
hard to see.
6,
But
8, 10, 11. Looks like.
yes, the 10, 11 are MTOs though. So one.
Yeah.
Oh, the one. So your 1A is in. I guess that's probably good for you, right? Considering
Yeah, I
you
didn't
like
like the
1A better.
1.
So
Yeah.
the 1, 6, and 8. Let's see if we can just remember this, or people will remind us. In the next race, looks like the 9 in the main body, and then the 1A in and then the MTOs. And so the 9 in the next 1, 6, 8, 9. Becky's Joker is out, and then the last race looks like 5 and 12.
I had the
You
12.
like the 12 a little bit. So
I had the 12 in third. Yeah.
We'll see if we can remember that as we go along, or people can
Okay,
remind
I'll
us.
keep it up too. So
Okay,
we'll
great.
remember.
Let's go ahead to race 7. Here we go. Race 7, starter allowance. One of 2 starter allowance races in a row. That interesting for 50. This one is on for the boys. This is on the inner, going a mile and 8. So pretty demanding distance actually.
Yeah.
10 horses in the main body, but Watasha is out and Provision is out, right? Was it just those two now? I'm drawing a blank. Or was there one more? I can't remember now.
The 8 addicted
The
to you
8. Okay,
30-1 shot. So yeah.
it's a 7 horse. Let's see, would have been 10. Now it's 7. Yeah, math. 7 horse field.
I don't think we lost a ton from in terms of contention
No.
or how the race is going to shape out, though.
Morning line favorite was the coupling, and so now it technically would be the 1A Giroux, who is your top choice, Pete, in a race that I thought was pretty tough in general.
Yeah, and this is actually for the Power Pick subscribers. This was one of my spot plays, not with a super high level of confidence, but it was sort of a 3-star if anybody follows those. I just thought, and this is exactly the kind of horse I would normally not like, because you're talking 2 for 25 lifetime, doesn't like to win races, comes from off the pace a bit, so that sometimes is a detriment anyway. But what I'm looking at is 2 for 3 in the top 2 at Saratoga, 3 for 3 in the money at the distance. So again, doesn't like to get the wins, but at least at Saratoga and at this distance has been pretty proficient. Gets IRAD up again, had IRAD last time. And what I liked was sort of running in just higher level allowance races and was doing okay. And if you look at those races, what is that, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 back? Those buyers, if you're just looking at a buyer and time form standpoint, those figures fit on the top end of this field. And the horse is 3-1, so that makes sense. Finally drops down, comes back to Saratoga, drops into the starter allowance, closes very nicely, just misses out. And again, that seems to be his MO, just missing out. But I think with IRAD up, he sort of fits the style of this horse. I think this time maybe he finally gets this horse home, and I'm going to put him on top. 6-year-old, let's get him a win.
This is exactly the kind of horse that I have to use in the pick 5 that I would never put on the win end. I mean, with IRAD and the scratches, he's going to be
now,
2-1, maybe.
Yeah.
And he's 2 for 25. That being said, he likes the distance. I know you love closers. I'm not sure there's a lot of speed in this race, but he's closed into semi-slow paces anyway. If you go back to his races in the spring, I don't know if he's getting better. He's going to be well bet. I understand why you have him on top, and he's a good chance to win this race. But just from a betting perspective, I couldn't do it. I don't have a strong opinion here, Pete. I thought the Ski Patrol is going to get a real nice trip with Pratt from the inside, and Linda claimed this one. And look, Linda regressed a little bit, but I don't know how many back she is now. I think Chad's pretty much wrapped up the training title. I'd have to look it up. But whatever. Linda can move up horses, and it's not like this horse needs any moving up anyway. So
no.
Didn't really have any excuses last time, but lost to Fredo, who we just saw yesterday, almost beat Cohen, and that ended up being a good race. So I do like Ski Patrol in this race.
One quick stat I had on Ski Patrol, which sort of it gave me a little confidence to knock that horse back just a bit, was Linda Rice first after the claim in turf routes, specifically 2 for 38. So again, maybe just not her strength. Yeah. So again, when you're trying to nitpick lower priced horses, you find out whatever you can.
Oh, that's a horrible stat.
No, but my horse is what, 2 for whatever. So
right.
When you get to some of these races, you don't get good stats because they're not always the best horses at a certain level. So, you sort of pick the one you like the best.
Let's talk about Harry Hood when we're done with our quick rundown here, because Charles B wants to know why there's no love for Harry Hood as the 9, I believe, in this race. The other one I thought was a little bit interesting was the 4, Empire Traction. Yeah. Because it's sort of a fresh face with this group and the numbers fit. And I like Danny Gargan, and maybe I think this horse will be, up close to possibly a slower-ish pace. So I don't know. Averill Racing, I respect the ownership here. This is a horse I was a little bit interested in. But not a real strong opinion, to be honest.
A little more seconditis. So somebody has to win this stupid race, and
only 8 lifetime starts compared to 26.
Yeah, no, that's But 4 out of 5 in second this year, which is just funny more than anything else.
I've Harry Hood as a B, Pete. So I'm not suggesting this horse can't win. I'm concerned about the distance, and the workout report wasn't good. Those are my 2 main concerns. And it's being claimed off at Chad. That doesn't usually work well.
That was the thing for me. I also had that one as a B. So, I mean, I think it's definitely a win contender for sure and fits and is improving. But yeah, it's hard when you take a horse away from Chad at a turf route or away from Chad and expect it to move forward. But again, he doesn't really have to move forward much. So he
No,
could just run whatever race, you know. It wasn't, well, I guess it was in July. So it's enough time for Hennig to put his imprint on him and
fair
maybe
enough.
take away some of the Chad. So I don't know. That was a tough one. I thought he's a little bit of the speed too. I thought him and maybe the 7 would be the speed coming out. So
Yeah.
um, I'm going to stick with the closers there. But no, I think the
Okay.
9 has as good a shot as any.
Yeah, put our little banner at the top right there. I should try to do that more often.
Mhm.
Let's get to the next race. And Pete, I need some therapy in this race because not only do I think it was a complete cluster, I hate my top choice. I hate my
Oh,
own pick. And you know what? It actually happens to be the same pick as yours. So
excellent.
maybe you can tell me why the 10 is just such an obvious horse and I shouldn't feel so bad. But we're thinking somewhat similar. We got the 10 on top. We got the 1 also in the mix. Let's go ahead to the next race here. It's race 8. It's another starter allowance. This one, though, is for the girls going a mile and eighth. And this one's on the outer turf on the melon. Obviously, the turf's in great shape now. The weather is finally turned around just in time for the meet to close. Anyway, we got a big field here, and there were some scratches, and you're gonna have to I think it was mainly the also eligibles, right? I'll need a reminder. Anyway,
In
as
this
I'm
one, yeah, this is which race are we on? The 8th, right?
yeah, what do we
It's
got in the eighth scratch
the
here?
only one that's scratched out of the main body is the 9,
Okay, so the 9
Proudfoot.
is out, and then everything, all the AEs are out.
The AE and the 8 oh wait,
13
you
and
know what?
14. Well, not forget the main track only. It's 13 or 1A and 2B are out.
Oh, they must. Well, they are they in because they're not on the scratch. No, they're not on the scratch list, so they must be
Oh,
in.
okay. Well, that changes everything, and I mean that seriously because I thought they were both live. So wow, this race just got okay. Well, anyway, we'll get back to it. Don't mess with Tess is who we have on top at 5-2, but of course we have our picks here on screen, Pete, without knowing that the 1A and 2B are in. And if someone's at home wants to just triple confirm that, that'd be great. Let's go ahead to the PPs here and our picks. We both have the 10 on top. Don't mess with Tess. But before we do that, Pete, let's look at the 1A. So the
Yeah,
9 is out, Proudfoot, who wasn't really a factor in my opinion, but Proudfoot was going to show a little speed. The 9 is out. So now these 2 horses are in. The 2B, who I thought was interesting, and will show some speed from the outside for Liscano. And the horse I actually liked maybe even a little more is from Hello, who is improving. They are both coming off of short breaks, I believe. Yeah, they both were in the same race. So I have to watch the replay. But anyway, people can do their own research on that. Don't mess with Tess. 5-2 morning line has the best buyers in the field. So why don't I love this mare? Well, tell me, Pete, why I should love this mare.
you're not getting an answer from me as to why you should love this mare.
All
So
right.
just for the record, the way I handicap usually is I'll go through. I sort of look at the figures just across the whole race and see. All right, where do I think the figure is going to be just for in my head? Where do I think they're going to have to hit to probably win this race? And then I handicap and I assign sort of a 1, 2, 3 or an ABC to each horse. And when I went through the race, the only one I had on the A line was the 10. And so when I look at that and I go, so let me look at my B's and see if I should move any of them up. I didn't really love any of those as well. What I liked about this horse mostly was seems to be improving a bit. Now, again, from a buyer standpoint, had sort of the turf lifetime buyer top last out, made a winning move, and then got sort of overtaken and run down as the favorite. I think, though, even though he didn't run as well going a mile and an eighth, 2 back, I trust Maker. And now we get Irad back. Now we get Irad up again, going a mile and an eighth now. And Maker going long on the turf is usually pretty solid. To get Irad back up again, I think if we can run the same race as last time, but Irad can maybe time it a little better because that's just the style. He's great when he has to sort of time a closer like that on the turf too. If he could do that, I think he can run sort of the same race as last time, but time it better to where, he hits the wire instead of getting run down. So that's my half-assed sort of explanation as to why I like this horse, but it
Okay.
is by no means with a a huge stamp of approval.
Which I read at the beginning today asked Charles B, the one that misses his brother and not riding his horses, or one that wants to win a race. Wow. Charles a little bitter. A lot of bitterness this
I
morning.
like the bitterness, Charles. I love it.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Pete, first of all, From Hello is out. So the 2B, if I
Oh, okay.
the
Okay.
2B is in. Hold on, where's the 2B? Fast Kimmy is in, who's a little bit interesting to me. The 1A is out. Let me counter my own pick, which is
Oh,
like,
feel
what are you
free.
doing, Howard? Well, look, she's the best on paper, but Pete, did you see the work tab? Where's this horse been?
Yeah.
There's a gap here in the works of almost a month, Pete. And then the last two works were slow and not good. And this is a horse I'm not sure anyway. So that last number might have been inflated based on the real fast, red time form pace colors, Pete.
Yeah.
This to me is either a horse you single and you just go for it, or you try to beat her, because I don't think she really is that much better than a lot of horses. I have her on top. Let's just go to the 1, Pete. The 10 is a very difficult horse to read, in my opinion. The 1 we both have, where is the 1 here? The 1 is River
It's
Tay.
between the 6 and the
Not
7.
a lot of confidence, but lightly raced. Katie Davis is having a good meet. I have no idea about the mile and eighth at all, but she's a lightly raced 3-year-old who could improve. I like Katie Davis. I don't know. It's a guess. I've got her second.
Well, it's had a solid work last out. I thought looking at the pedigree, if I remember correctly, I think I didn't mind the stretch out with this horse as well, which is why
Yeah.
I had her in the mix. And
Okay.
then the only thing I didn't love was I don't always comfortable with the horse that needs to drop down to get the win and then breaks the maiden and then is moving up, which actually obviously you have to move up after you break your maiden. But that always freaks me out a little bit
Yes, you
that she
cannot
drops
stay in the
down.
main ranks once you break your maiden.
Yeah, and then
That's
you
the
know
kind
what?
of breaking news we get here at this show.
I know, let me put some lessons in. But then
I'm just kidding,
the
Pete.
thing that freaked me out about the 1, which you don't see at all, the buyer was a 69, the time form was a 61. You almost never go backwards in those two figures. And if you're going backwards there, that freaks me out a little bit. So that's why when I was looking at this horse, I'm like, I just don't know. I didn't love the rest of the field. I probably would move, maybe the 8 would be in contention as well, the one that you have in third instead. But that 1 just freaked me out enough. And again, I just didn't like this field that much. I couldn't come up with horses that I really liked on the win end.
Pete, I didn't look at that time form. I can't remember the last time I've seen that.
I
Like
don't. Yeah,
that's
me neither. Me neither.
like
That's
that
why when I
time
saw it, I was like, "That's
for people
weird."
don't know, the time form should be 15 to 20 points higher, 15 to 20. Excuse me. So like in theory, River Tate should have gotten between like an 85 to 90 time form. I
Yeah,
got a 61. So someone's
something's
way
weird.
wrong on their number
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Real quick, Pete, and we're gonna move on. A bunch of you are asking about the number 7, Miss Christie. I looked at this horse quite a bit. I don't think she's impossible. She has to improve. A recent claim. I don't know. Forget about the off the turf. This horse wants grass. You could do worse with this long shot. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting horses in this race.
Yeah, I had no problem with the 7. I definitely looked at the 7, and yeah, it's weird when you see that last one because it's just a complete toss. You're going out to a mile and a quarter for the first time, and then it comes off the turf, and then it's speed favoring, and you're sort of in the back in a 5-horse field, and you're just sort of out of it. I didn't even look to see if I can't remember if Ruda. Yeah, so there was a speed horse, but then Ruda just sort of sat off and ran away. So yeah, that's a tough one. I think that's not a bad call though. Again, in a race where I don't love anyone, that's actually a pretty good call.
Yeah, I'm going to be spreading if I play a pick 4, 5, 6. I can't, unless my budget constraints. Well, after yesterday, my budget constraints are a little bit lower, but we'll see. The 10 is just, if I single that 10 and she doesn't win, I'm going to feel really stupid because I just don't love the horse, even without the, break in a month gap in the works and other things. Whatever. So it's tricky. Let's go to the Spinaway, Pete. The Spinaway, this race. Wow. What a great race this is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm going 8-3-9. You're going 8-9-6. of all the 2-year-olds we've seen this year, Pete, and I know you watch, Del Mar once in a while, and I watch all over the country, obviously. The 8 horse in the Spinaway here, Ways and Means, just might be the most exciting 2-year-old in the entire country right now, boys or girls. This is a horse that is really exciting and very good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Grade 1 Spinaway. You'd have to expect you'll see some of these girls possibly in the Breeders' Cup juvenile for the girls. I'm drawing a blank on the juvenile fillies. Sorry,
Yeah,
juvenile fillies for the girls on the dirt come San Anita in 2 months. It's $300,000 purse. They're going 7 furlongs, stretching out. Field of 10. The only scratch was Becky's Joker, the 5. So it's gonna be who actually I didn't think was impossible. At least underneath.
yeah.
Becky's Joker is out. It's a field of 9. More line favorite. There you go. Ways and Means, Chad and Flavian. Obvious second choice will be Bright Work for Jose Ortiz. Excuse me. I think it's Juan Ortiz, his actual trainer, first name, I believe. For Irad Ortiz, no relation there, by the way, I'm pretty sure. 5-2 morning line. We're both going Ways and Means. We'll show the replay, Pete, because her debut was an absolute beauty.
Yeah, there's not a lot. I mean, this is one of those races where there's not a lot of handicapping involved necessarily. You either looked at that 8 and Ways and Means and the way she ran in that debut, and you either say she's just a freak and she's awesome and she's not going to be beat, or you say, maybe it was just a love it.
Lead, because we see every day you see maiden 12.5s, right, Pete, that wire the field and look quote unquote impressive. When a horse does this and they rate in behind, take dirt, and I mean, this is a complete embarrassment. I mean, look at this.
I mean, he didn't even
not even asking.
He not even ask. He didn't even move.
Debut.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, it's just completely embarrassing, this field. Now, how good is the field in behind? It's hard to tell yet. We go back and look at the next race.
Nobody's come back.
So you don't know, but just by the clock and everything else, Pete. I mean, this horse has been working really well since. I'm not worried about the distance personally at all. This could be and in a race where you think there's going to be at least a decent amount of speed, the fact that you know that she can rate in behind in case it gets heated up front, there's nothing not to like about the 8. If this 8 is 7-5, I think that's a gift. And I know the 9 is really talented and it's 2-year-olds. I think this horse will be and should be about 4-5, Pete.
Oh, yeah. If not even lower than that. I mean, Bright Work does look good on paper, so Bright Work should take money. But I can't imagine just everyone. And then if you're talking horizontals, I mean, if you're talking the pick 6 or the late pick 5, the 8 is the obvious single. If you want to go a single route, because the other 4 races are pretty tough. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what you do other than play the 8, unless you just really love this 9. And the 9, now that you're on the 9 there, I mean, the 9, just from an experience standpoint, 3 wins, but also has done it sort of moving up the ladder. This is a normal progression you would see from a good horse, right? You see, you break the maiden in a maiden special, run pretty well, go to sort of a listed stakes, beats that field, steps up again to a grade 3, demolishes that field. That's a nice, beautiful progression. Has Irad, has John Ortiz, who's 4 for 5 in the money here. Everything looks great for this horse. It just might be the wrong day and the wrong, right? You know what I mean? It might just be the wrong day and the wrong horse you're going against.
My comp to that comment, Pete, is always ask Charles Barkley, because if there's a guy named Michael Jordan that didn't exist, Charles Barkley would probably have 4 NBA championships, right? So it's one of those things, or Life is Good last year. I mean, there's a horse called Flightline, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. What would Life is Good be in this year's classic? 2-5. I mean, right? So it's just one of those things. Or Olympiad. I mentioned to Matt Miller yesterday. What would Olympiad be in this year's Breeders' Cup Classic? I mean, 3-5, right? I mean, so just Anyway, Bright Work is really good, and she's got more speed than Ways and Means, I think. And so she's going to get the jump on Ways and Means. I think it's going to come down to these two. I don't have anything overly creative to say about this race. I think Bright Work is good. Bright Work is a C to me. Maybe she should be a B. I don't know. That's for another argument for another day. I am actually going to try to split them with the 3. I like Sugar High. I think Mott's horses get better as they get, as they move along. I mean, when a Mott horse wins by 6, Pete,
Yeah.
that's really impressive. And she's got nice works since. She's got an inside post. She doesn't need the lead. She's like Ways and Means, -2. I mean, like the junior Ways and Means to me, where I think she can rate and she's got nice pedigree and she's got a nice future. But for this race, I don't think she can beat Ways and Means. But I'm going to try to beat the 9, at least to split the 2 favorites with Sugar High. And then you've got the 6 real quick. Alley's Beach. I mean, there are other nice horses in here for Amos, who I have a lot of respect for, but has to make a major jump up in buyer to even be a factor.
Well, the one thing sometimes with the debut horses, the buyers can be low and then they can take a super huge jump in the second one. Now I don't know if she can take a big enough jump to beat these horses. But again, if you're just looking for third place, sort of underneath, if you're doing something, if you decide you want to do something cold, you do it that way. Omaha Beach has been on fire, like we said earlier.
Yes.
So anytime in Omaha Beach. And again, she ran, though. She ran off the pace. She sat off. She passed horses. She fought down the lane and won, had a nice work coming out. I always like when a horse is working well, actually, goes into a race, wins, and then comes out and is immediately working well again. Just looks like they're keeping their fitness. But again, this just might be too much too big of an ask. If this was a lighter field, I think this 6 would be better.
Speaking of don't sleep on Paul Halloran, who is up today and up already. Not a surprise because, well, it's actually up already. It's 11:13.
Hey, Paul, by the way, Paul had 2 horses that he has a piece of yesterday that ran. I bet the other one, not Dracone, the other one didn't run for squat, and Dracone wins and pays 40. So, Paul, go back to sleep, man.
Paul likes Sugar High a little bit as well. So, and Randy Burnham again. Paul, I don't know if I'm assuming you're still listening. People are wondering why, Paul, you did not crush the late pick 5. You don't have to comment, but a lot of people are tooting your own horn or giving you compliments, but also wondering what happened with the pick 5. And I think you didn't have the 3 in the last race, Paul. If you're there and you want to comment, you don't have to comment. It's no one's damn business what Paul hits or doesn't hit. But anyway, so a lot of kudos there out for you, Paul. Thanks for joining the show this morning, and thanks for joining yesterday as a substitute. All right, Pete, the last race. Here we go. It's got to be a maiden 40 going 2 turns, right? And normally I'd say, but yesterday, yours truly had 11-1 on top. I don't know why the horse didn't take money, but anyway, won. So let's see what we got here in the last race of the day. And again, Pete, we've had the viewership for our morning shows have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. If you're watching live here, if you listen or watch as a replay, we cannot thank you enough. Our Saratoga Today shows obviously have less than talking horses, but not like an incredibly amount less. I mean, so we are absolutely crushing it here with our viewership on these morning shows. Thank you very much again, everyone. Really do appreciate it.
Yep.
And please subscribe and smash that like button. That'll help the channel and all of us as well. Let's go to last race, Pete. Right there. I'll go ahead and bring our banners up on the screen. I've got 3-8-1. You've got 1-8-12. You've got Jet City Woman. Let's look at the field of, let's see. Here we go again. Now, the 12 is out, right? Who else is out here, Pete? The 9 is out? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. No, just the 5 and the 12 and the 15, which was an MTO. So I guess that means
13,
the 13 and the 14 are in, I imagine, unless this isn't fully updated. But yes.
All right. So 5 and 12 are out, and that puts.
Oh no, I'm looking at it now. The DRF is updated. So actually, if you refresh your screen there, it'll update too. Mine I just refreshed and it updated.
Fine.
So yes, the 13 and 14 are in.
Yeah, addressable market is the favorite at 7-2 for Brown and Irad, with, of course, a name related to finance because of Seth Klarman and his background. So let's just go right to it here, and I will refresh. Thank you for that, Pete. And you have the 1. There we go. There are the scratches on top. Oh, you have 13 and 14 are in. Jet City Woman, 4-1. Dutro dropping back in distance. Interesting.
Yeah. That was my thought with this horse was again, I didn't love this field either, which is I apologize for that's the theme of this late pick five. But the what I liked was the horse dropped down out of maiden special and got on the turf. So made sort of two changes, two races back. Runs well, maiden 40, runs well, finishes a tight second. Actually, didn't have got a little bit in the lane, got a little knocked around a bit, nothing major, but ran the nice race. Then they say, okay, we're going to give her a little time off. We'll give her a little time. We'll bring her back, go back up to maiden special, and we're going to stretch to a mile and a quarter. Doesn't run well. Yeah, stuff happens sometimes. Now we're dropping back down. Maybe we're back at a distance at a level that this horse actually is comfortable at and wants to be at. Got a little bit more of a break. There's nothing in the works. The works are mostly garbage, but I'm looking at more getting a horse back into a level and maybe a distance that I think she'll be best at. And I'm hoping we can get a repeat then of that race two back, but this time crossing the wire first.
Yeah, the workout report is a bunch of meh. Similar
Yeah.
to the last race. Paul Herron chimed in for those that are wondering. Paul said if I had played ABC, I would have been alive to the 4 in the last race, who was absolutely awful, by the way, for Clement. And I had my concerns about the 4 in the last race yesterday. Did not have the 3 in leg 2. There you go. He didn't have the 3 in leg 2. Played a caveman, needed 20, needed the 11 horse in leg 2 who ran second. So there you go. So the 3 horse missing Fortune in the second leg is the one that knocked out Paul. I've got the 3 on top here, and this is very similar, Pete. And this is a huge race, obviously, for people playing anything horizontally, especially the huge pick 6 carryover. So we should take a minute to talk about this race, and we have a few minutes here.
Yeah.
Whiskey Lullaby to me is very similar to the 3 yesterday, who has shown speed in the past, will show speed again. I think yesterday's horse was actually I think it was Michelle. There was a Michelle Nevin horse that I liked yesterday. I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, Whiskey Lullaby should have the lead, Pete. Red color-coded time form pace figs in the last race. Dropping down inside speed. I don't see a ton of early speed in this race. This is just a wire job for me. At least that was my thought. Santana, don't love him on the turf, but he can win on the turf. And I just thought this one was very logical, especially second off the bench. I guess you could make the argument why the drop down only second time off the layoff. I understand that, but maybe they just want to get him win in Saratoga. I'm not going to overread that. My main thing I want to mention to everyone at home, I don't know if you feel the same way. The Clements, the Chads, sometimes the Pletchers, but especially the Clements and especially the Chad Browns on the turf, Pete, in these drop downs, they are overbet and they do not win. And I don't have a specific stat on it. I know listening for Andy Serling for years and just doing my own handicapping and listening to you, and I look at the stats, these are bad bets in general. So while the 8 can win, these are horses that are overbet that do not win and are horrible ROI type of plays.
Yeah, I think because if you took away the owner, the jockey, and the trainer from the screen, and you looked at this horse just based on performance, you would say, not bad. Looks like maybe an underneath type, and is improving a little bit. There's nothing wrong with the horse. That was, ran a little bit better in the debut in 2023 after a pretty significant layoff. So yeah, definitely a win contender, but not anything that's going to jump off the page. But like you said, because of the connections, this horse is just going to get bet, and she doesn't look any better than anyone else in the field. In fact, maybe looks a little bit worse than some, but it's just tough because if she does take another step forward, she obviously can win the race, and it's Irad and Chad. So the horse will be ready most likely. But on the win end, it's probably not a play, but it's a hard one to leave off, say, a horizontal ticket, because this horse could just get better under the Chad Irad combo, which always makes it tough in these races. That's why they get bet, because you don't want to lose. If you're in the pick 5 and you lose because a Chad and Irad Klarovich horse wins on the turf routing, then you're going to go, oh Christ, how the hell did I miss that pick 5 with a Chad Irad Klarovich horse? So that's what winds up happening.
I'm mainly going 1, 3, 8, and pick 4 is 5. Well, pick 5s and 6s if I play it. Pick 4, I'm also just want to throw out there, I think the 6, 7, and 9, all of those 3 horses I would actually use as well. Pete, as we close the show, it's really quick. Who else would you use? Let's say in a spready pick 4. I know you've got your top choices. Sorry, I just took them off the screen. Were what is it? 1-8. I'm sorry. What was the third horse that you liked?
I had the 12, but I would move now that
12
the
is
12 is
scratch. So,
scratch. I'll move the 3. I would move the 3 up, so the 3 would be my third pick.
okay. And the horses that get in are the 13 and 14. You better take a look at the 13, everyone, who is actually another Chad. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
From Monmouth. So I don't know. I mean, you might want to throw the 13 in there for Chad. The 14, by the way, is a horse that I know. That horse is named Salivo Spritz. Sound familiar? That's a horse that I used to have a small piece of that got claimed for 40 from a Delphi and has done absolutely 0 running, and she's not very good.
You can't.
So
No, I would.
out.
So I was looking at the bigger ticket. So if I was doing a big spready ticket, I would go 1, 3, 8, 9, 13 is sort of if I was going super spready because I don't love the race. And that's I would 1, 3, 8 are probably like my main. If I was doing a smaller ticket, I would do 1, 3, 8. And if I was doing a bigger ticket, 1, 3, 8, 9, 13.
Pete, just to give some people advice to close the show, we would both single ways and mean. Let's start with the pick 6. I mean, I know a lot of them plays pick 6s, but this is a huge carryover. There's going to be $1 million in the pool. I personally would single ways and means. Would you agree with that? If you had to, play a shorty ticket, I might single the 4 in the first leg, Pete, and just sort of have, or the second leg of the pick 6, the first leg of a pick 5. What Alpine Princess, is that the name?
Yes.
I might single that horse, Pete, because I don't have confidence in the 10 in race 8 at all. That was the don't mess with Tess. And there's a lot of other races that I feel like I would need to spread. So I think if I play a little pick 6 or even a big pick 6, I think those are the 2 that I would single. How do you feel about those 2 singles?
No, I think that works. That's the one I would, if I had to take a stand, I would take the same one. The 9 does scare me against Alpine Princess. If I was looking at like a pick 6, I would want to, but I'd have to see. I hadn't built a pick 6 ticket to see what the cost would be, so I didn't think of it yet in the terms of who do I need to cut in order to make it a manageable cost. So, but I'm with you, because I love the 4 Alpine Princess, so I would go there. And then in the 5th, we didn't talk about the 5th, and again, I didn't look at it. Were there scratches in the 5th? There's all the AEs, a bunch of the AEs are gone. Oh, the 4, which actually was my third choice, is out. So, but I like 2-8, like I mentioned before. I like 2-8 to kick it off. So I would probably just go a little skinny in that first leg, and then maybe go skinny again, and then don't mess with Tess is one I didn't know what to do with. Like you said,
Wayne Catalano's got the 2 in the pick 6 there. The race 5,
5th, right?
Race 5. Pete, I want to mention one other thing for those people that maybe out there not as familiar with betting and or the tote board. It is absolutely crucial, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to play the pick 6, which starts in race 5, that obviously you look at the board in race 5, but you look at the probable double will pays going forward, because you can see how the 2 pletchers are being played, the 9 and the 10, Pete, in the next race. So again, I always hear from people that don't quite understand how the pools work or the tote system and whatever. And it's totally fine. I used to be one of those people like, at the next race, how do I know how the first time starters are going to be bet? I don't see the odds. You sort of, you can see the odds indirectly by looking at those probable will pay doubles going forward, Pete. And that gives you a real idea of who's going to be favored in, that next race without seeing the board. So that's crucial information that people really need to understand if you're going to play horizontally.
Yeah, and especially because the first 2 legs today are maiden special. Well, is this actually is the 5th a maiden special? Yeah, they're both maiden specials, and they both have horses who just haven't run. Yeah. So you don't have a ton to go on otherwise. Like, if the second leg is a bunch of horses who've run 1 million times, then you don't necessarily need to do that as much, but it still helps. Don't get me wrong. But in the case of these, definitely look at the board if you have time to wait to put your play in. That's the only bad thing. If you have to put it in early, then you're kind of screwed and you don't get to check the board. But
my concern for Santana just went away on the turf because he's the one that actually rode Dracone yesterday, Paul informed me. So there you go. Pete, we're going to close the show. Thanks a lot. Pete and I have to get on the horn and talk about our group pick 6 tickets since we're both signaling the same horse. So Pete, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. We'll see. Thanks a lot, Pete. We have one more show tomorrow, Monday, Labor Day. Listen, everyone's off. We should have huge viewership tomorrow morning. Get up early with us, 10:30 a.m. It's going to be me scheduled. Paul Halloran will be back tomorrow morning. And Patrick Kunzel is actually live at Saratoga from the Ben and Boozin show. The three of us will be here. So, Pete, this is your last Saratoga Today morning show. Really appreciate all your efforts this meet. And we'll see you Thursday on our flagship show with Matt Bernier talking Kentucky Downs, like $5 million races or something crazy. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it. For my good friend Pete Visco, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz. Saratoga Today for September 3rd. Good luck, everyone. Crush your bets at Saratoga today. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.